Hi, my name's Adam Carruthers. We are having some off-the-ball conversations, I guess you could say. Not broadcasting live on TV, but putting up on our YouTube channel. Thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe as well. Alongside me, we have Phil Jones and Gary Stevens, just to discuss a few things which we didn't have time for earlier on. And I want to begin with Cristian Romero, who in the last game against City, got subbed at half-time because he was ill, and in the subsequent game, also against a Manchester club, this time United at Old Trafford, he gets sent off in appalling fashion, I think it's safe to say. Yeah. And before this, he posted some comments on social media, so I'm going to read it out for you. Just want to tell me what you think. A great effort from all my teammates yesterday. They were incredible. I wanted to be available to help them, even though I wasn't feeling well, especially since we only had 11 players available. Unbelievable, but true and disgraceful. We'll keep showing up and taking responsibility to turn this around, working hard and staying together. All that's left is to thank all of you for being there and for always supporting us, the fans. And then he tagged out Spurs official. So,
the words he chose. It's worth clarifying that was after the Man City game.
It was after that. Yes, so it was after the City game. What did you make of that? Because he is the captain. Is his heart still with Tottenham? Is he itching for a move away?
Yeah, I think he's frustrated. He's...
But does he have a point?
He has a point in terms of the injuries, for sure. I mean, that has to be looked at. I mean, when you have that many injuries out, is that loading them too much in training? Are they doing too much? Are they doing double sessions? Is it a coincidence? I don't see 11 players out a coincidence for myself. We had it under Van Gaal, and it was for no fault of his own. He just wanted to get better and improve as a squad. But what we had a lot of groin injuries. And when we realised how much more passing we was doing in training from the passing drills, we were passing more, probably say 250 more balls in training than we were used to, and we had 5-6 players out with groin injuries. So it'd be interesting to see sort of the training, the schedules and the loading. But listen, he's frustrated. And what I would say is when you have comments like that, you have to back it up with a performance. And he didn't do that today. He's completely let his team down. I thought the tackle was reckless. I've said it at the top of the show. I really like him as a player. I like how he plays on the edge. Never take that away from him, because that's him, that's his character, that's who he is. Centre half, you want to be aggressive and strong. But sometimes, or too many times, that teeters over the edge, and it proved costly today.
Yeah, I think Thomas Frank decided to make Romero his club captain this season to give him a little bit more responsibility, to possibly not calm him down as such, but actually just to be a little bit more selective with his behaviours on the football pitch. He is a red card, or at least a yellow card, waiting to happen. By giving him that captain's responsibility, it doesn't seem to have changed anything, because he's now picked up 2 red cards this season. It means that he's going to miss a total of 6 games, which is too many. I get the feeling, and Romero has definitely been critical of the hierarchy at Spurs. Doesn't think they've signed enough players, etc., etc. I don't think that's for him to come out, especially as team captain, and say, if you're the team captain, you have to be the team captain, the club captain. You have to back the club. And there's been occasions recently where, in my opinion, he hasn't backed the club. He's gone against the club.
I think what you would say on that is, as a player, you're trying to fight for your teammates. They're in a rut where they can't buy a win. They're struggling for performances. They're struggling for confidence, a lack of belief. I mean, the last thing you want to do as a player is almost magnify what's going wrong with Tottenham at the minute, and it's just obviously exploded with a tweet like that. It's unnecessary. I understand where he's coming from with it. I totally get it, but he has to take his emotion out of it sometimes. And it's a difficult space, a difficult period for Tottenham, no doubt.
But when a leading figure at the club decides to go public like this, you know it's going to create headlines. I'm just wondering why he decided to use those words. It's probably well worded by him, choosing what to say, because every time a player does this, you know it's going to have an impact of some sort. Remember when Ronaldo gave that interview to Piers Morgan? I'm sure you remember that very well. Yeah. That was done for a reason, not because he just felt he had something to say. There was reasoning behind it.
Yeah, I mean, rightly so. I mean, I remember the interview and the impact that that had in the dressing room, and everyone's talking about it, but no one wants to bring it up. It's almost like the elephant in the room.
So no one brought it up?
Well, you don't really talk about it. It's one of them things. Yes, people know. Yes, people are aware. They've heard the comments. They listen to the show. But you wouldn't be in the dressing room and start discuss. It's just not how it unfolded. But I agree with you. There must be some underlying issue with Cristian Romero. Maybe his future does lie elsewhere. I know there was links and reports to him with Atletico Madrid. Maybe he does strike me as a sort of Diego Simeone type of player.
That Argentina connection.
Argentina connection. I mean, I'm guessing we'll find out more towards the end of the season. But I'm just disappointed because I really like him as a player, first and foremost. I was just disappointed that the way he went into the tackle today, and it has cost his team the game today.
Sorry, Adam, I was going to say, in the last 2 games for Spurs, he hasn't managed to stay on the park for 2 individual halves. He's off at half-time against Man City. He's sent off after 29 minutes against Manchester United. You need your best players, and as Phil said, he's a fine player, he's a talented player. On his day...
You need players like that in the squad. You need that aggression. That he's a leader, but you don't lead like that on the pitch today. That's not the way you lead. The emotions have got the better of him today, and maybe from previous games it's been building, and it's just exploded today in a matter of 30 minutes, and his team are up against it for the best part of 65 minutes.
I do wonder what his teammates are thinking right now, given the comments he made. If you're going to put something like that out so publicly, you have to back it up on the pitch. And he hasn't been able to do that whatsoever. But before I move on, can I just ask, when that Ronaldo interview came out, what was your first reaction?
A bit shocked, sort of maybe the timing of it, but he's always, listen, he's a lovely guy. I got on really well with him. I was only there for a year, but his dedication, his passion to the game is incredible. Any young player who wants to watch somebody, then go and watch him. But yes, it was a bit strange at the time with Piers Morgan, and it does not cause problems, but people do start whispering in the changing room. So I'm guessing that had the same effect with Cristian Romero in the dressing room. Players maybe questioning why he's done that. Maybe he's had a discussion with the players and they're on the same page with him. Who knows? But it certainly doesn't help situation.
No, doesn't help Thomas Frank whatsoever. But the most important thing that would help Thomas Frank would be results on the pitch, and they're just not getting it. OK, they've done pretty well in Europe. They're through to the next round of the Champions League, of course, but bread and butter is and always will be Premier League football. They haven't won in 2026. You have to go back to December, last time they tasted victory.
Yeah, they're on a poor run at this moment in time. 4 points from their last 7 games, so 4 points from 21. You do that across the course of the season, you're relegated, simple as that. If you look at the teams below Tottenham at the moment, they must be thinking, well, we can maybe catch them. They have to be thinking that way. It's a big catch because 9 points is still an awful lot for West Ham to make up. But by the way, West Ham recently beat Spurs. So, does that make West Ham a better side than Spurs and give them some belief that they can catch them up? I think Spurs must, and I'm sure fans are looking at the league table and saying they're far too close to the drop zone at this stage of the season.
But do you think that Thomas Frank has managed his last game for Spurs? They stuck with Postecoglou throughout the entirety of the last campaign, even though they're pretty much performing at the same level under Thomas Frank as they did under Postecoglou last campaign.
Do I think Thomas Frank has managed the last game for Spurs? Absolutely no. Absolutely no. But when you look at what's coming up, they've got Newcastle at home, they've got Arsenal at home, they've got Fulham away. Fulham are a decent side. Absolutely decent.
They did well against United in the last game. I thought they caused United a few problems. But I think, to your question there, I think what helped Ange Postecoglou was the fact that they were well in the Europa League and probably had their eggs in one basket, and rightly so, they won the Europa League. But Thomas Frank doesn't have that, and I feel for him with the injuries, with the suspensions, with, he's coming to a big club in Tottenham and it's just not quite happened yet. He's not quite managed to get his best 11 on the pitch. He's not quite managed to find the balance. It's not quite happened, but we look at the fixtures they've got coming up and you're thinking, you do wonder, where's the next win coming from?
Well, it wasn't too long ago, there was this club, I forgot the name. They decided to let their manager go. They brought in someone who's been an interim before, and then he went to Arsenal, hadn't lost at home, and they beat them, and he beat City before that. I think he got 4 wins in a row. They did so by changing managers. That's it, Michael Carrick.
Yeah.
I forgot his name and which club.
Yeah.
Do you see the impact, how quickly things can change for them?
Of course, things can change really quickly, and they can change really quickly for Thomas Frank as well. I certainly hope they do. But, you know, we touched briefly on the injuries. You know, there was what I would call recognised first-teamers that weren't available for Spurs at Manchester United.
6 or 7 were starters.
Kulusevski, Maddison, for example, Bentancur in midfield,
Porro.
You know, they are players who starting for Spurs, you would expect them to deliver consistently in the Premier League, and they're missing them.